보고를 전하겠소.
Solemn E can't be that broken, right? Is that a minigun?
이 처참한 보호와 호접이 그대를 화장할지니.
Oh hell no. Oh hell no. Hello everybody and welcome to the first Limbus company video on this channel. I know it's been a while since I wanted to do this and I finally get the chance now. So today, what are we doing? Well, we are ranking identities that I would shard in Limbus company, and to help us out I made this cute little tier list here with all the identities and all the egos. So, okay, enough yapping, let's get right into it. Okay, so as you can see on the bottom here, we're obviously going to start with the identities you can get in this event, and to get some obvious ones out of the way, Solemn instantly gets goated tier. I mean, what did you expect? This guy is literally the core of the sinking teams, and with his butterfly effect and sinking capabilities, he can deal a massive amount of bloom damage. Like, it's ridiculous. Especially with the help of some of those nuke egos like Solemn and Gregor. It's just insane. I'm not really going to elaborate too much on him since he's basically broken, and to explain what the butterfly effect he inflicts would do, it would take another 20-minute video, so I'm just going to instantly go into next. Basically, all you need to know is this is really goated. Shard this instantly if you make a sinking team. And yep, that's it. On to the next. Okay, next we have Regret Faust. Now, she is surprisingly the only Faust in the entire game with a Tremor kit. Now, you would think Project Moon would give her another identity to her with Tremor, but I guess not. Just being the only Faust with Tremor capabilities instantly makes her go into a pretty good tier, so I'll graciously put her in the goated tier. I mean, since she can get a lot of Tremor and a decent amount of Tremor bursts with her third skill, I think she's a pretty good identity to have if you are making a Tremor team, aside from the fact that she's the only Tremor Faust. However, if you're not making a Tremor team, there's not really a purpose to get her. I mean, she's just a pure Tremor kit. But hey, if you're making a Tremor team, or you just want her in for the future, if you're making a Tremor team, go ahead, by all means, get her. Following Regret Faust, we have Love and Hate Don Quixote, or just simply Magical Girl Don. And honestly, she's pretty good. Not too good, but not too bad, which is why I'll put her in the alright tier, like, pretty good tier. Being a charge unit, I mean, she's always kind of there, and I will admit, she can deal amazing damage. But it's most likely you're just getting her so you can see a magical girl in your team. I mean, I don't blame you, I would do the same thing. I mean, even though she's a good standalone unit, there are much better identities you can shard that have good team synergy with like Tremor teams and sinking teams like the previous two earn the goated status, for example. So it only seems fair that she goes a little bit below goated status, just a tiny bit. However, if you have extra ego shards, I mean, go ahead and get the identity. I mean, it's not a waste, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there are better identities you can shard that have good team synergy with whatever you're going for, like a Tremor team or a singing team. But by all means, shard her if you want her. Now we have Lobotomy Ego, Red Eyes, and Penitence Ryoshu, or just simply Red Eyes Ryoshu for short. Now, long story short, I have to put her in the works alright tier. This identity kinda solves my problem with Magical Girl Don Quixote, since Ryoshu also has unique charges culminating into a big attack and more damage, passive activations, debuffs, and whatnot, but she is also mainly designated for a bleed team. However, there's a downside. Compared to other bleed identities, she simply just isn't as good, to put it frankly. She can't deal good damage compared to her counterparts, so there's no reason to feel pressure to instantly shard her that because she's limited. That's the only reason to shard her. Basically, she's just limited. Any other options for Ryoshu's bleed identity would be better. And if you really want that charge aspect of the identity, then just get somebody like Warp Corp Ryoshu. I don't really see a purpose in getting this identity when there's just so many good Ryoshu counterparts that you could get and that could really benefit your team. So, moral of the story, you could get her if you really want just a limited ID from Walpurgis, but I say there's so many better options than her. So yeah, that's what I say. Okay, following right after, we have Faint Aroma Ryoshu, who deserves to be right in goated tier. She almost is a must-have in any sinking team, mainly because of the debuff she applies, mainly Faint Aroma. This debuff acts as a mini deluge, which, if you don't know, converts sinking into gloom damage straight up. This is excellent to capitalize on lost sinking potency and counter when you're just getting attacks and trying to build up your stack, making it go towards more potential damage, since Faint Aroma gains a stack every time the enemy takes that sinking damage. When it reaches max stack, meaning Faint Aroma, it triggers the mini deluge effect that we talked about earlier along with the Tremor burst. In addition, her skill set is just completely tailored with the idea of getting as much damage out of sinking as possible. So there is no doubt that she goes into goated tier. She just gives so much to the sinking team that she's just completely indispensable and earns her role as a starter on that team. Soon after, we have Hornet Meursault, which will now be our first identity in the Please Do Not Shard This tier. He can be very good at certain things like clearing out groups of enemies, keeping his bullets plentiful, or maintaining burn on his opponent as well. But at the end of the day, he gets outclassed bad, and I low-key expect it. This ID has to compete with some of the strongest IDs in the game like Capo Meursault, since apparently all the strongest IDs are just Meursault IDs. So it's hard to have miscellaneous identities for him that can fit in a team better than those top IDs. My honest advice is just to not shard this identities, just skip it over, especially when his Capo or Thumb identity is so close to being shardable. Just skip over it and get some better identities like Solemn, Lament or more of the like. Next, Jang Ishmael. She is, in all honesty, pretty good. She can deal good damage and is tremor sinking, so she can fit into many teams. However, I have to put her in the works alright tier, because we, again, have that one flaw that manages to affect many of these identities, and that's the fact that they just get outclassed so easily, just like Hornet Meursault. The fact that you do not see Jang Ishmael in any designated sinking teams, even though she can fit pretty well, is because Molar Boat Fixer Ishmael outclasses her with the insane sinking count. Putting them side by side, it's just not worth it, especially when you can get Molar Boat year round while Jang just remains unlimited. It's never worth it to waste shards on an identity that just gets outclassed, especially if it's just limited time in the year. However, she still has potential, so I think she fits perfectly right in that works alright tier. Okay, now this next ranking is going to be 2 in 1 because these identities are so good together that they should be used together in all circumstances. I'm going to put the full stop duo of Heathcliff and Honglu in the goated tier, but for a quick disclaimer, this duo is only good if you use both together. If you use each of them separately, they are in truth a pretty good at best and will not be goated alone. They rely on each other constantly to deal a lot of damage and apply buffs to themselves and debuffs onto enemies. And if you can get both of them, then they can virtually benefit anyone, especially new players. First with Full Stop Heathcliff, he mainly uses single coin moves that each hit like a truck. But once he runs out of ammo, he retreats. Then Honglu is able to make use of his multi-coin skills, the exact opposite, and then get more damage from the Pierce Fragility that Heathcliff instilled, and the compounding debuffs that Honglu has innately. Just trust me when I say these two are incredibly strong as a duo. Now coming up, we have Knight Rodion, and we may have a theme going on here with really good sinking identities, since this one is confidently the best in the game. You cannot have a sinking team without this Rodion identity because it's just so good. If you don't believe me, look up any other guide for sinking teams, and they will say the exact same thing. She's great for inflicting large amounts of sinking count and potency, and this can be enhanced tenfold when she goes into her negative mode, using negative coins while inflicting absurd amounts of sinking. Just get this one, period. You'll thank me later. Okay, getting closer to ranking all the identities, we next have Don Office Sinclair. Now, this identity is a little bit hard to rank, but I'll be generous and put him in the really good tier, since he is an extremely high risk but high reward unit. He is completely dependent on you managing his volatile ego state, which requires him to be at a constant SP level in order to deal really good damage. Since he can fit on a burn team, you need to constantly make sure you are focused on his SP so that he doesn't get too far out of the good range to be out of his volatile ego state. If you can manage this well, then he can be an extremely good unit for you and yield very good damage. However, if this is too much, then I would ask you to reconsider and get another, better ID for you and your team. However, if you can do it, Don Office is the identity for you. Following up, we have Magic Bullet Outis, which many consider is the cornerstone of the burn team. She has high base stats, strong clashing, and most of all her unique debuff, Dark Flame. This helps trigger extra pride damage based off the current burn potency, making burn more useful. However, I still have to put her in the pretty good tier. Even though she tries to make burn a more useful debuff, it still is lacking and is not strong compared to the other debuffs like bleed, sinking, tremor, and the other ones as well, like rupture. To put it simply, it wouldn't matter how good Magic Bullet Outis is if the thing she is using is an innately bad debuff. Nonetheless, she still is really good for a burn team, and can be paired with some ego outside of the limited event scenes like Faust's new Burn ego. As much as it helps Burn get more recognition, it is still relatively mediocre. But if you want Magic Bullet Outis paired with her ego, she is still relatively strong. It's just that it's always going to be capped by how strong Burn is. So if Burn doesn't get stronger in the future and can deal more damage, then it's going to still remain at that same mediocre point. Okay, for the last 000 ID, we have Night Owl's Gregor, and I'll save you some time with this one. He's a works alright tier. He's pretty skippable in most cases, not to say he's weak, but like the other lower identities on this list, he just gets outclassed easily. He can work for bleed and most prominently Tremor teams, but there are just so many more identities that can get some value in a spot that Night Owls is just sitting in and doing nothing in. Once again, you're just better off sharding other identities, I'll just leave it at that. Okay, now for our first 00, Lantern Dawn. Don't let the fact that she's a 00 fool you, because I'll put her in the really good tier, since even though she's a 00 identity, she is a really good tank. She can heal a decent amount with her attacks and use the aggro effect efficiently, but most prominently help on a Rupture team. Now, is she dispensable? Probably not. But she can serve as a strong tank for a Rupture team and become valuable if you're able to apply a large stack of Rupture on an enemy. Honestly, if you are building a Rupture team, I suggest Lantern Dawn would be a good pick to shard. Now finally, we have Hook Office Honolulu, and I will have to be blunt with this because he is our first waste of space unit. The main problem is his gimmick, because he can deal a decent amount of bleed, and the gimmick is that if he has a higher speed than his opponent, he can deal more damage and become more efficient on a team. However, there is absolutely nothing in his kit to help him with the speed conditionals, just making him a simple attack unit that just deals some bleed damage and potency. Especially with all the current bleed identities for Honolulu that could be so much more valuable to teams in this 00, there is absolutely no reason to shard this unless you have all other things in the event. Just skip this one, believe me. Okay, so now for the new identities, we have Don Gregor and Don Faust. Now, I'm going to have to put each of them in a pretty good tier since they can be each used individually, but if all the Don units are together on one team, then I would confidently say that they should be sharded as soon as possible, ASAP. Now, Project Moon is doing a lot to kind of revive Burn, more specifically Tremor Scorch, through like the Thumb Duo recently released, but now these new Walpurgis units, so it might just be enough to make a good team, we'll see. You only have to wait till the event drops. Okay, now we are on to the major egos for this event, starting off with the In the Name of Love and Hate ego, specifically for the Dawn identity of a similar name. And honestly, this deserves to be in the spot of the really good tier. This ego is decent and can make the Dawn identity meant to go with this extremely better, since it can deal a lot of area damage to miscellaneous enemies, along with controlling your various modes. However, without the base identity, the ego is pretty mid-tier as expected. It just isn't the same without the actual identity that goes with it, so my advice is just to shard the identity first, then just get the ego later if you want. Next we have Sanguine Desire Rodion, who instantly gets a go to tier because she is a straight bleed ego for teams, and she is incredibly good at it. She can clash at a large amount of power if the enemy has a decent amount of bleed, which is +1 coin power for every 2 bleed potency, maxing out at 13. And despite losing a lot of sanity over time, she can make the bleed easier to stack by making the target not lose any count for the turn, and also having the potential to inflict 200 max additional damage based on the bleed potency with this ego. And in the situation that the damage kills the enemy, the excess will get distributed among the rest of the enemies. Long story short, this ego is almost indispensable in making a bleed team, so go for it, absolutely, by all means. Now coming up, Fairy Festival Ishmael for sure deserves to be in the go-to team, there is no question about it. This ego is incredibly good for many things like crowd control, high coin or damage output, and most of all, the HP and SP healing is absolutely ridiculous, even for an HE ego. The amount of HP and SP she can recover is really unmatched, and can heal anywhere from 40 to 60% of the damage dealt, with an additional 20% max HP heal. Including all of that, she also inflicts Gluttony, Fragility, and some extra bleed. This ego is a great addition if your team needs some extra healing. I say absolutely 100% shard this. Following suit for more stupidly broken egos, we have the Harmony ego for Sinclair, which is another ego that I'm definitely putting in the goated chart here. This ego is absolutely stupid in the fact that Sinclair can just reuse his coins and constantly deal a large amount of damage. It's pretty fantastic by itself, but if it's paired with Dawn off of Sinclair, it can make the identity extremely useful, especially when you're in a volatile ego state and you can just constantly get maximum coin power, which is a full 7 coins by the way. Acting as the cherry on top, it is a resource-friendly ego and is relatively cheap to cast, functioning seamlessly in burn teams. Now, if you want a good burn ego and you are already planning on getting Dunclair, then this is the perfect ego for you. Shard it. Next is the Magic Bullet Ego, which is the best ego of the entire burn team. There is nothing better you can get. This ego is the must-have for any burn team alongside Lobotomy, Ego, Magic Bullet, Outis, since there's a gimmick here with the ego. Since Outis has that unique ammo of Magic Bullet, the ego's effectiveness is completely dependent on which bullet you have in the chamber. Depending on which bullet out of the 7 you have, there are varying effects. This could be dealing more damage just straight up, raising the enemy's stagger threshold, dealing damage to the rest of the targets, crippling the opponent with so many debuffs, or just straight up nuking the opponent with the last bullet, which is the most overpowered of all. This last bullet deals a whopping plus 200% damage, along with dealing plus 2.5% damage for every 1% missing HP on the target, with a max of plus 200%, with a side gimmick that could possibly make the attack always hit fatal, giving it another fat 2 times boost on top of the other ones. It stacks in damage. I don't think I even need to explain the passives and more that this ego gives, like Dark Flame and more the like. It's just good. Just shard it. Easy. Easiest decision you made in your life. Okay, right when we thought we were done with syncing, we have yet another syncing team must-have with Solemn, Lament, and Gregor, who instantly gets a goated tier. This ego is the main nuke for the Butterfly team, or at least was the nuke before Yisung's ego might take over. Even if we take into account Yisung's literal minigun being better. If you have a strong syncing stack, you can just alternate between them. You don't have to choose. Plus, in being one of the only egos to inflict Butterfly, and being the only ego before Walpurgisnacht IX, it deserves the goated tier, hands down, no debate. Now, no surprise here, Hornet Meursault also goes in the goated tier because it gives Meursault so much strength in a team that Project Moon is desperately trying to fit him in, which is Tremor-related teams. Aside from dealing great damage, it also buffs his clash power to skill in the leftmost category, which is a flaw of choosing Meursault in the first place. Just overall, it's a good idea to shard this ego if you have Meursault in your Tremor team. Just get him. Finally, for the last thing we put on this tier list, we have Solemn, Lament, Yisung's ego, which instantly gets the goated chart immediately tier. Almost everything I mentioned with Solemn and Gregor applies here, except with how the ego's looking, it is 10 times better. Like here, let's take a look at his announcement page for just a second. I want you to know how he inflicts sinking on most of his coins, keeping up the stack, and lowering the enemy's stagger threshold, and triggers an insane amount of Butterfly. This is clearly the better nuke for the Butterfly team, not saying that Solemn and Gregor shouldn't be used, but holy god, on every coin for Solemn and Yisung? Come on. Solemn and Yisung can't be that broken, right? Is that a minigun?
이 처참한 보화, 호접이 그대를 화장할지니.
Oh hell no, oh hell no. He's still going? Brother. Yeah, this is the new nuke. This is just the new sinking Butterfly nuke. Oh my god. And that is it for all the rankings. Here's the final tier list for reference, and just remember that this is mainly just my opinion backed with a little bit of research. So, thank you for watching till the end, and make sure to like and subscribe. And make sure to catch the Walpurgisnacht livestream here on this channel when it drops. I'll see y'all then.